напрямку ворог просувається. Це не секрет, але ворог просувається. Хоч повільно, хоч не повільно, в нього є деякі успіхи на певних ділянках, як в самій Авдіївці, так і по флангах. На північному фланзі, звичайно, також ворог дуже добре просувається. Ми його намагаємося стримати, але, звичайно, дуже великими силами. Що можу сказати? Треба було думати раніше. Чомусь в недофедерації, тобто наш ворог, повністю все працює на так зване їхнє СВО, на війну проти України. Заводи, виготовляється техніка, виготовляються боєприпаси, все виготовляється, все працюється, все робиться. У нас чомусь такого немає. Нам не потрібні ні артилерійські снаряди, яких зараз бракує, ні FPV-дрони, яких також бракує. Нам це нічого не потрібно. Да? Але ж бачите, як бачимо. У ворога артилерії дуже багато, у нас артилерії мало, FPV-дронів мало. На жаль.
Russia's war in Ukraine entered a new phase after Russian commanders decided that the Ukrainian offensive, which began more than 4 months earlier, is out of steam.
Так, мои сегодняшние приключения. Приветики нахуй.
Moscow responded by launching its own offensive. At first, it seemed like a separate operation by the Southern Military District's 8th Combined Arms Army to the north and south of Avdiivka. Russia appeared to be trying to force the Ukrainian armed forces to redirect reserves from the Zaporizhia region. According to Meduza, an anti-Kremlin news outlet that focuses on counting Russian casualties in its Ukraine war, advancing Ukrainian forces suffered, and I quote, significant losses, losing dozens and maybe more than 100 pieces of heavy equipment earlier on when the Avdiivka offensive began.
Everything is okay. Sometimes find some jokes about it. Jokes help.
However, during the second week, as of October 27th, it became clear that Avdiivka was not just the location of a diversionary maneuver, but rather the target of a larger Russian offensive involving troops from multiple armies and military districts. The AFU, the Armed Forces of Ukraine, responded by redeploying reserves toward the Zaporizhia region from the direction of Orikhiv. Russia then deployed additional troops withdrawn from the northern direction, previously engaged in local battles near the town of Svatove. Situation of Ukrainian forces near Avdiivka significantly worsened as a result, although they managed to slow down the Russian offensive. It is estimated that Ukraine has approximately 15,000 soldiers in Avdiivka. As of the 20th of November, Russian troops using infantry only, according to Meduza, managed to cross the Avdiivka-Pokrovsk railroad north of Avdiivka and reach the outskirts of the village of Stepove to the west. However, the Armed Forces of Ukraine Command sent reinforcement to this area. They were able to halt the advance of the Russian assault groups, but intense fighting continues in the area with heavy equipment losses for the Armed Forces of Ukraine and significant losses in personnel for the Russian army. And we'll come back to the casualty figure a bit later on. The Russian command most likely decided that the semi-circle of Avdiivka's equipment and ammunition supply route had been significantly disrupted, and they struck directly at the city from the south. Russian tanks attacked a major AFU fortification in Avdiivka's southern industrial zone. By November 20th, the Russian army encircled the industrial zone from the north and occupied its eastern part. Russian artillery and drones continue to shell the road that passes through the Lastokny, connecting Avdiivka with the mainland. The road is littered with large amounts of destroyed equipment and is beginning to resemble the road of death from Bakhmut. To draw the Russian troops, especially artillery, away from Avdiivka, the Ukrainian army launched a surprise offensive to the east near Horlivka. a Ukrainian unit captured the Gagarin Mines soil tip near the Pivdeni settlement on Horlivka's outskirts. This town of Horlivka should ring a bell, as it was mentioned in the Time magazine piece, of which I did a video about right here, and in which one of Zelensky's aides stated that the armed forces of Ukraine did not have the personnel or equipment to launch an attack. The Russian command responded and redirected part of the artillery that was bombarding Avdiivka. However, even as things are, the article states that Russian troops do not yet have the ability to stop Ukraine from sending reinforcements to the city's vicinity. For now, it appears that Russian command favors attacking wherever possible, rather than concentrating its forces in the most promising area. Journalists from Media Zonia and BBC News Russian service have worked with a team of volunteers to determine the names of 35,780 Russian soldiers who have been killed in the special military operation. According to the journalists, the highest number of casualties occurred among former prisoners, approximating 6,691 plus 4,232 draftees. What I find very enlightening, and much to the contrary of Zelensky's claims that the Russian army lost a brigade's worth of casualties in Avdiivka, is the fact that, according to the article, the Battle of Avdiivka has, and I quote, not had a significant impact on the casualty count so far. And here's another quote from Media Zonia, from a journalist. We are finding obituaries of people killed in this direction, and in terms of the number of deaths, Bakhmut is clearly far more.
Сука, под нами пошел. Выход, выход. Блядь! Выход! Ох ты, ёб твою! Что мы скажем матушке косе? Не сегодня!
Since the summer, the Ukrainian army has established several bridgeheads in the eastern bank of the Dnipro River. However, none of them have developed into anything more than positions held by a few dozen special forces on a narrow, swampy strip of the eastern bank. In reality, the Ukrainian armed forces do not have the opportunity to break out of the marshy coastal area and advance on the Nova Kakhovka, as they can successfully face Russian troops no further than a few miles back from the Dnieper, relying on artillery and drone support from the western bank. While it may appear that the Ukrainian army has a temporary advantage in terms of gun and drone numbers in this area, they are still unable to move far from the bank, as this advantage would quickly weaken. As for now, there's simply no way for the Ukrainian army to transfer artillery or drone operators or heavy equipment across the Dnieper. The Ukrainian forces are therefore forced to dig trenches on a narrow strip of land under Russian air and artillery strikes, waiting for supplies and reinforcements to be delivered to the eastern bank by small boats.